Good morning. Sister Kate here. You can tell by behind me it's a wet, overcast day. A perfect day to get out and plant. And today I'm going to be planting onions. But my video is not about that. My video is about 5 signs that spring is here. And one of them will be very, very obvious. You saw me like 2 weeks ago and what I was wearing, and I've got a raincoat and a t-shirt on right now. The temperature, of course, gets warmer when spring is here. That is what wakes up many of the plants and animals that are a sign that spring is here, is that warm temperature. It brings out the buds on the end of the plants. It brings out things that I'm going to talk about, so I'm not going to give it all away first. But the first thing is the warmer temperature. That's how you know spring is coming. That's not to say there won't be any frosts or anything, because there certainly can be, as you know. But in general, instead of it being 30 during the day, it'll be 40 and then 50 and then 60. I've got some grass growing too. That's one of the signs that spring is coming. Your grass goes from being dormant to starting to put its green out. So that's a sign. One of my favorite signs, and it only happened about 2 days ago, about mid-February, is when it happens for us here, is the peepers. The spring peepers start calling. And I could go into the woods and find one and get you the cheap, but I have a video on that already. I think it's called, this raincoat might not work. It's called like Nighttime Symphony, and it's simply the frog and toad sounds. And they're starting to talk to us, and it really makes me happy to hear them, because I know they're going to be out there doing their job of eating bugs. So, excuse me. Kind of hear them in the background. Anyway, spring peepers, toads, things like that. They start to appear when spring is truly here. And springtime, for me, there's something in the air, and I know I said warm temperature, and right now we have humidity, but I think I've got a inner clock that kind of gets me going, that says, you know, it's time, get out there, start planting, start doing. And I don't know if that's just me or if that's everybody, because right now I am just itching to get things in the ground. And in my mind, I'm already formulating my battle plans for what I'm going to do against the pests that we suffer every year. And one of them is that little Asian beetle. It looks like a ladybug, but it's not, and it leaves a horrible smell, and it does damage to your property. And so we're already killing them, where last year I was thinking they were ladybugs, so I was sweeping them up and tenderly letting them free out into the woods and the Shofar mountain outside of the house. And this year we're tossing them in the fire and we're squishing them because they're a pest and they need to be gotten away with. So we have warm temperatures, we have green plants coming up, we have peepers. That's 3. A 4th sign that spring is truly coming is we have birds now singing in the morning when we wake up. And if you live like we do, where you're very close to being outside, and we don't have a lot of the noise that comes with like furnaces and pipes and alarm clocks and whatevers, hydrators and dehydrators and whatnot, you hear a lot of the noise outside. We hear owls and coyotes howling and things. Well, we've just started hearing the spring birds in the morning, peeping and cheeping with their little songs. And some of the songs I remember by relating what the song sounds like to a word, and one of them is cheeseburger. There's the cheeseburger bird, and when it sings, it's kind of like cheeseburger, 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 cheeseburger. And there's many others. There's one that always is out when I'm doing work outside, and so it's just one of those things that in the winter time, when it's cold and it's quiet and sometimes dark, you don't You don't realize that those things have gone, but when they come back in the spring, you notice them. So that's a fourth thing about spring returning. And then the fifth sign that I take, and you probably have this in your area, is the bulb plants start coming up. Like your, especially around here, the daffodils. The daffodils start poking their little heads up out of the ground. They may not be throwing those flowers up immediately. It might be a week or two before you see the actual blossoms, but the plant heads are breaking the soil. And when I was working on the road with the tractor the other day, I dug up a whole clump of daffodils. They were in where the dirt that I was repairing the road was, and so they had like an inch or two above the soil, and then the bulbs were under, and they were pretty good size. And daffodils here grow everywhere. I don't know who planted the originals, but there's hundreds at the height of spring. So I gave them to the Neo-Hermitas, and she has planted those, and so we're continuing to spread those daffodils. And we'll also see crocuses here. I have planted crocuses, but I found that the crocuses, it kind of is just like one day they're up. I don't see the little end of the flower poking up, and then, you know, 2 inches are out of the ground, and then the flower. It's like one day I'm looking and I see the greens, and the next day there the flower is. So they're a little bit more abrupt when they come. But that's it. Those are the 5 signs that spring is here, or at least 5 of the signs that spring is here. I don't know, as you guys have so thoughtfully reminded me, I don't know if spring has come to your area yet. People north of me may not be seeing these signs until, you know, the end of May. But they are definitely here in my area, and that means it's time to get to work. All right, bless you all. Shalom.